His Excellency Sheikh Hamad Bin Jassim bin Jabr Thani, Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Qatar, Professor Klaus Schwab, Executive Chairman of the World Economic Forum.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome His Excellency Sheikh Hamad Bin Jassim bin Jabr Al Thani, Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Qatar. Your Excellency, it's a special honor for me to welcome you here as a true visionary in the region and a key shaper of the regional agenda, and also as an island sometimes of economic growth and stability. So we are all very eager to listen to you, and ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Highness.
I will speak in Arabic, so if anyone would like to use the headphone. Bismillah ar-Rahman.
In the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Your Majesty, the King of Spain, Your Excellencies, Professor Klaus Schwab, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be amongst you today to participate in the proceedings of this important forum, which coincides in its current session with the great developments taking place in our Arab world at the political, economic, and social levels. Thus, we are all prompted to explore and analyze the causes and motivations that triggered these events, as well as to consider the successive repercussions, the challenges they pose, and means of overcoming them. Ladies and gentlemen, the aspirations towards social justice and human dignity which are sought by our Arab peoples imply the provision of the basic constituents and prerequisites conducive to the realization of that objective. It is evident in this regard that many Arab countries have not paid adequate attention to the building of the sustainable development pillars which ensure decent living for all citizens. Hence, despite the good economic performance in recent years experienced by several Arab states as regards levels of growth and achievement of high rates thereon, such growth was benefiting a certain group of society and was not translated into tangible gains that could be felt by all citizens. As a result of such misdistribution of the fruit of development, coupled by high levels of unemployment, illiteracy, and poverty, tension increased between rulers and the ruled. The unrest witnessed by the region, starting first in Tunisia, does not only reflect discontent over the lack of job opportunities, low wages, and prevalence of poverty, but rather represents, in one of its principal facets, a review for the options of the economic policy in the region over past decades and the rights of citizens to choose the optimal economic system of managing the development process. It is high time that Arab countries reconsider their adopted economic and social policies, as well as to explore a new developmental model that would match the aspirations of their peoples, all the more so as the paradigm of category development failed to achieve drastic reforms at the levels of policies and institutions which ensure the minimum rights of citizens to feel the real returns of growth and not just restrict that to a specific class of citizens as previously mentioned. In fact, many countries of the Arab world are similar in the possession of the natural resources and in the productive bases, as well as the economic and social policies they adopt. And therefore, it is not surprising to be similar in the challenges they are facing. The Arab region at the onset of the 21st century faces many economic challenges, including the issue of water scarcity, the sustainability of the consumption of natural resources, the deterioration of the environment, to cite but a few examples. There are also the issues of poverty, diversification of income sources, and the migration of the Arab intellectuals abroad. The most urgent and pressing challenge to the Arab world is the failure to create more job opportunities to address the aggravating unemployment problem, despite achieving relatively high rates of economic growth. These failures were one of the trigger causes of the Arab revolutions in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Yemen, and Syria. Apart from the impacts of the global economic crisis, the creation of job opportunities on a sustainable basis in the Arab world represents the most important challenge to the Arab development before and after the crisis, as well as over the coming decades. Amid such atmosphere of political uncertainty and unrest which still affects several countries, and in the light of the global economic crises that crop up whenever the prospects of recovery are looming, expectations of growth remain in low profile at present and are even prone to recede. As for the recruitment aspect and creation of job opportunities, it is our belief that the Arab region is the youngest region in the world, as most of its population have not yet reached the age of 30. This means that jobs which exceed this figure should be created in order to solve the current unemployment problem. Despite the high rates of economic growth achieved by many Arab countries, this growth was not accompanied by significant increase in job creation. While recognizing the impact of the global economic crisis on employment rates in the Arab countries, this should not dissuade us from discerning the real problems faced by the Arab economies. Over the past 3 decades, and in the absence of the impact of the economic crisis, the economic growth did not achieve its targeted goals in the field of employment. This was due to the momentum of this growth, which is represented in the investments that were geared towards mainly oil, tourism, and real estate, in addition to the mismanagement of privatization in some countries, which in turn led to a reduction in the number of workers. This meant that the economic growth did not succeed to a large extent in achieving a real production of goods and services that would have significant impact on employment levels. The high rates of unemployment in the Arab world, in spite of the improvement of the economic growth, are due to the recruitment crisis, whether in the commodity or service sectors, a result of the structural imbalances caused by the existing gap between labor supply and demand, caused by the educational and training policies, as well as the low skills and declined productivity. In fact, the question of low employment flexibility in the Arab world has 2 aspects. First, the weak response of the private sector in recruiting the national manpower due to the changes in the rates of economic growth. Second, the recession of the fiscal space of many countries and the fallback of public investment. Here I would like to briefly indicate the experiment of the State of Qatar and the vision of His Highness the Emir of Qatar on development process and balanced approach that are conducive to achieving long-term objectives providing a clear vision of a vibrant society where economic and social justice prevail, confirming the sense of citizenry and striking the right balance between nature and man. Qatar National Vision 2030 consider the people the objectives of all human, social, economic, and environmental aspects of development. The Arab economic cooperation is still below the level of the aspirations and potentials expressed by the Arab masses from the dawn of their revolutions. The Arab peoples have proved that they are able to achieve their ambitions and aspirations and mobilize the international community to support their causes. There is no doubt that the Arab revolutions will change the outlook of the nations of the world to the peoples of the Arab region. It is expected in this regard that a long-term partnership will be initiated between Arab countries and countries of the West, particularly the Group of Eight. On the level of the Arab cooperation, the Arab market, especially that of North Africa, is generally the most promising among the markets of the other developing countries. In addition to the abundant natural resources of oil, minerals, and vast arable lands, which represent the constituents of a prosperous industrial production, there are innate opportunities for growth in tourism and service sectors in the light of North Africa's distinguished geographical location potentials, and that are no less than those of the European countries overlooking the Mediterranean. Thus, we expect a vast influx of investments in the countries of North Africa. The challenge of translating growth rates into wide-ranging job opportunities can be overcome through two approaches. First, developing the infrastructure and human capital and focusing on the real productive investments, especially in the industrial, agricultural, and tourist sectors, which provide national job opportunities and represent an addition to the financial and human capital. Second, cooperation between all Arab parties and integration of their efforts by expanding the Arab basis of productivity and adding new production capacities that use labor-intensive techniques, taking into account the geographical distribution of workforce at the Arab level. In conclusion, we underline that the lessons learned from the unrest and crises from which the world is suffering, and whose repercussions have not surfaced in full yet, indicate the gearing of investments towards Arab markets. It is necessary to establish a favorable economic and commercial atmosphere in the Arab world. This would facilitate benefiting from the increasing financial surpluses that some Arab countries would direct towards productive investments. Here, we should underline that it is most vital for the Arab economies and Arab institutions to participate in the formulation of the coming global economic order and be effective partners of it. Distributing the gains of economic growth equitably would ensure the sustainability of this growth through confirming to the citizens they are the objectives and means of the development process. Launching market mechanisms within the development process should go hand in hand with a greater role to be undertaken by governments in maintaining the overall economic stability and controlling inflation so as to safeguard the gains of development. It is also necessary to strengthen institutions and seek to achieve high rates of economic growth in the Arab countries, since this will have positive impact on eliminating hotbeds of social unrest and tension which are besetting these countries. In addition, it will establish a sound relationship between the ruler and the ruled. In other words, The realization of this goal of economic development and the equal distribution of wealth will set the suitable ground for the establishment of a sound democratic life that in turn will avail Arab peoples to live a free and dignified life that ensure for them the right of possessing their own free will and building their own future, as well as positively interacting with the rapid development sweeping our contemporary world. It is also paramount that we increase transparency and activate regulatory bodies to prevent the manifestations of corruption caused by economic and financial imbalances. In conclusion, I thank you and wish you every success. May peace and God's blessing and mercy be upon you.
Your Highness, we have time for one or two questions, and you pinpointed the economic weaknesses, challenges, but also the opportunities of this region. Now, turning from economics to politics, we all know that you have been an essential player or played an essential role in reconciliation and peace efforts in the region in Africa. My question to you would be, if you look now at the political landscape of the Arab region, what disturbs your sleep at night, if I may? What is the most, the foremost concern you have at this particular moment related to the stability and here in this region?
Well, yesterday I did not sleep well, but because of the mosquitoes. It's okay. Anyway, I think what's happening in the Arab world is something unique. I have to say, all of us, not me, or most of us expect something will happen. Because it was so calm in the Arab world, so negative in a way, that people lost hope that anything will happen in the Arab world. For me, what happened is good if you can learn the lesson, and bad if you continue not learn the lesson like the others. We saw what started happening from Tunisia till all the other Arab countries. I think the leaders of this region, they have to do two things. First of all, either they start change and understand exactly what the people want and what the people doesn't want, and to try to concentrate how to develop the country, how to develop the political system. People cannot accept to stay as there was before January this year. The second thing is, I advise the Arab leaders, they don't fight their people because they want to stay in their position. I believe our people is more valuable for us than to kill them or to start doing something against their will. We have I don't know what sort of power you will have or you will gain after you kill your people. Even if you win, you've been defeated because you kill your own people. You have to see, either you work it out with your people or you say, okay, if my people doesn't want me, I have to leave. I think we will respect any leaders do that more than leader want to stay by force against the will of his people. And we believe that the best scenario is both sides, the people and the president or the king or the emir or whatever it is, to be engaged with his people and to try to work it out between them and try to find a way out of this, which let the people. That's the best scenario instead of burning the countries. We saw most of the countries which they have revolution, they've been burned out completely. As it reminds us about the Roman or some wars which it happens before. Why you do all this? Because you want power? What power you will have after doing what you do to your people? So I believe we have to start to change our attitude, both. The street, they have to change their attitude. The normal people, if they find their leaders is willing to change, willing to do what is necessary, willing to know that he have to step down one day, not to stay forever or to transfer it to his son. You know, that's something we have to find, because that will prevent a lot, Professor Schwab, a lot of financial, because most of these countries now suffer from these conflicts, and they need many years to stand back again because of the loss of the financial capacity in their countries. So that's what actually I'm thinking about.
Sheikh Hamad, I know that, and referring to your last remarks, that you are following with directly and with great interest what's happening in Europe, and I want to use this opportunity also that, to highlight that Europe in this audience is represented by one of its great statesmen, His Majesty King Juan Carlos from Spain. So we are very grateful for your participation. But coming back to the European issue, I ask you in a similar way as I did recently I posed the question in China to Premier Wen Jiabao. Under what conditions would you be ready with your tremendous financial resources to help to solve the European problem?
I will not say help. Let us say cooperation. Because help in our part of the world, as we know it, as to give something to somebody free. And today, nobody can give anything free. But I think both of us, we can benefit from this situation. The European and our region could benefit if there is a real partnership. You remember before 2008, most of the European, they start gathering, and the West gather to see the sovereign wealth and how it's been used, and it's forbidden and it's bad. This sovereign wealth, it's not known, not clear, and all the stories. Now, unfortunately, we found that the sovereign wealth help a lot of banks, a lot of countries to stand on their own, because sovereign fund, it's a wealth, legal, from our country, access money which not been used in our budget, which we are trying to keep it and save it for the next generation and for our children to try to live in the same standard which we live. So it's our responsibility to take care about the future. But to help to go to the same question, I believe first of all, what's happened politically in Europe is getting too complicated. I think the leader of Europe, now the problem is not financial more than it's political. Everybody think about his chair, everybody think about the election, and if you are thinking about election, I don't think you can do something in the economic situation in your country. The problem, you have to think about your country, how to save your country. History later will be fair. Usually history fair maybe a little bit late sometimes or most of the time, but you will get your share if you did the right things to your country. The problem, the politicals, we have 17 parliament in the Eurozone. So 17 opinions. Although American, they have one Congress, but still they did not agree what to do also. So the problem is how to let the leadership in Europe and in United States get together and know that there is something have to be fixed. I'm worried it's always like Lehman Brothers when it's failed. All of us talk later, if they save Lehman Brothers, we will not have all these problems. Everybody said now, if they save Greece from the first days, it was less package, less painful, there will be no problem. I am worried that always too little, too late. It reminds me about the Arab Spring. All the leaders which they have the problem, they always give too little, too late. So I believe that something big have to be done. I hope by next week, Europe, as we know that they are under negotiation now between them and the leadership of President Sarkozy and Merkel, we hope that it lead by next Wednesday about something could be positive. The market is expecting it. I think if there is nothing positive, then we will find a very negative situation, not in Europe, but in the world, which we need decade to fix it. It's now easy to be fixed. It will be very difficult to fix. But there is a lot of access of money in our region could help in that, participate in that. But there is a problem of taxation. There is a problem of rules which we have discussed with our partner in Europe. There is a lot of issues which they need to be more clear in regulations with us, how they will deal with this fund. Because maybe now they want this fund, and later they will say, oh, okay, stop now, we need to regulate this, we need to see what is this. I don't mind from regulation, but what we are worried that there will be new laws which can put obstacle in our sovereign fund.
So, Your Excellency, Sheikh Hamad, we should send out from this audience a strong message to Europe to bring its house in order and to do it fast and to do it in a visionary, long-term fashion. And then coming back to my question, then I understand you also will help, but help in terms of investing into Europe.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Hamad.